Hi everybody, it's Colleen again from Teen Services at the Traverse Area District Library. I'm here again for another craft kit tutorial. This time we are doing straw weaving bookmarks. You can pick up these kits right in the Teen Services department, or if you'd like to do curbside, we can run it out through the curbside lot as well. Just let us know when you come to pick up your materials that you would like one of the kits. In this kit, we have 3 straws, a small ball of yarn, some beads, and on the bag is a piece of painter's tape. You can go ahead and peel that off. Alright, I'm going to bring you guys down. Okay, so this is kind of one of those crafts that has not very many parts, but takes a little bit of time and practice. So I kind of enjoyed this one for that reason. So the first thing you need to do is to take your tape, and then we're going to line up these straws with just a tiny gap in between them. Not too big at all, but just enough so we can kind of get the yarn through it without getting stuck. So I'm going to go about like that. And I'm going to tape back over the other end. Like so. So you see you've got your 3 straws, but a little gap in between each of them so you can get that in easily. Alright, then we're going to take our yarn. Now the only thing that I would say you need from home for this is a pair of scissors. If you don't have scissors, let us know and we can get you a pair to use. Alright, so take your yarn and we're going to be weaving through these straws. So take and go through the first 2 straws just to kind of get it in there and leave quite a long little tail. And then take the end that's still attached and we are going to weave over and under, back and forth. It takes a little time to get used to the motion of it. Over or under, over, over, under. And it kind of ends up like that. Now you want to, after much trial and error, you want to keep this about like this, kind of tight, but not so tight that it's squeezing your straws. If you make it too tight, it makes it very difficult to slide off the straws. Every few rows, to go ahead and slide that up towards the top of the straws, just so you are getting your weaving going, like so. You can tighten a little bit if it looks a little bit loose, but again, tight but not super tight. You need to be able to slide it up and down the straws easily. Now, it took me a couple tries to get this, so if you are not successful your first try getting it removed from the straws, be patient, try again. It is well worth the effort. It just does take a little bit of practice. But what we're going to do is just continue to go back and forth, weaving over and under until we get all the way to the end of the straws. And you want to get as close to the end as you can possibly get while you keep pushing that up to the top so you get a nice tight weave. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera because it does take a little bit of time. I'm going to continue to do this weaving all the way down to the end of the straws as close as we can possibly get. Okay, and we are back. I have a book just for kind of a reference point. This does lengthen by a little bit when you take it off of the straws. I have found that if you do the full length of the straws, it does make a very long bookmark. So I'm going to go about 3/4 of the way and then trim my straws down, like so. Alright, and now here is where things get a little bit tricky. So go ahead and take your scissors. Make sure that your string is not falling off the edge of your straws. And cut a good long tail, like so. And then we need to cut 3 long strips that will go down the center of our straws. If If you can make them approximately the same size, that would be good. It's better to make them a little too long than not long enough. So I'm gonna go pretty good length on these. Oops. Two. Aha! All right, let's go ahead and pull that through. And then the second one. I find it kind of helpful to hold it and kind of like grab. Helpful too, because it would give it a little extra weight, but you don't need it. I have done just fine without it. All right, oops, I'm unraveling a little bit. We'll have to fix that when we're done. That's okay though. All right, and then the last one. A little frayed at the end there. Now this is kind of just a cool technique to learn too, because if you had string or yarn at home, you could always do different colors, or you could make it into things like necklaces or bracelets would be kind of cool too. So it's kind of just a cool technique to learn that you could use for other things. But this is a good way to start, just nice and simple, but gives you a cool skill to learn. Okay, so we're through both ends there. Now there are two hard parts of this task. One is tying off the ends. I'm gonna try to weave this a little. Yeah, it's fine. All right, so I'm gonna tuck it through our main weaving string here, kind of through so it's in between two of the straws there. I'm sorry. There we go. All right, and then we have to, oops, tie off the ends. If you have another person, this is where they're helpful, to hold the other end that we're not tying, to keep it from moving. I'm just gonna kind of flip it up and hold it, just so I'm not accidentally pulling the string through more than I want to. All right, so you need to tie your main weaving string through with one of these strings here. All right, again, a little tiny bit tricky, but nothing we can't do, right? All right, I'm gonna tie it in 2 knots, make sure it's really not going anywhere. It doesn't have to here, so tie it again. Oops. Okay, tied. All right, and then we're gonna take the other 2, so these 2, and tie those 2 together as well. Again, another set of hands would be helpful just to keep your ends from pulling through. I did have that issue the first time I did it, was I ended up pulling too hard on these, and then my other ends were super short because I had pulled them all the way through. But it's okay. We're getting the hang of it. We got this. Once these 2 are tied together, you've got the 2 chunks there, then we can let go of those ends. Oops. Because we're secure. All right, and then we want to tie this one and this one together. If you can make it as close to the center as possible, I can, oops, tie this a little tighter as I, okay, maybe we still do need to hold that a little bit. That was unexpected. All right. The weaving is the easy part. The tying and the removing is the hard part. All right. Okay, got a pretty good little knot there. I'm gonna kind of tighten it up just a little bit. All right, now here is the task. This needs to slide off the straws. You need to do this slowly and evenly as humanly possible, because you don't want gaps in your yarn. So we're gonna slide it slowly, you can kind of see it coming off the end there. A little bit at a time, working it down, making sure there's no gaps. Kind of come in here. If you mess up and make a gap, a little gap can be fixed. You can kind of just maneuver yarn around. Big gaps kind of can't. So if that happens to you, it's okay. Just undo your yarn and start again. It's not too bad of a task to redo. All right, we're really close there. I'm gonna pull this the rest of the way off the end. All right, and pull our strings through. So we've got this guy. All right, at this point, you can kind of straighten him back out a little bit so it's not curled up on itself. Make it lay kind of flat. All right, and then we've got our ends. So we're gonna do the same thing. Tie 2 and 2 together. The other end is already tied. So there's those two, and I'm going to tie these two to each other. I guess you don't necessarily have to, but it kind of just cleans up the look a little bit. Try to center it if you can. All right, so there we go. Now, on this end, if you'd like, if it bothers you, which it does kind of bother me, you could untie these little extra knots to try to clean up that look a little bit, since they were just honestly only there to secure it. Now that they're tied together, it's not that big of a deal. So I'm gonna untie that so it's a little neater, and untie this other one so it's a little neater. And kind of tighten it down like so. There we go. All right, so bookmark. There's a time where if you would like to add beads, you could do so. I'm going to trim my ends up to the length that I want them and make them even. I'm gonna keep them kind of long because I like the look of that. All right, clear that out of my way. And take the beads. So I've got a good variety of blues and grays and kind of pretty dusk type colors in there. And then what you would want to do is just thread your beads through if you so desire. Any color and variation that you would like. Let's do a solid gray with a sparkly blue. I like that. I like threes. Let's do threes. Let's do another blue. See-through blue. Okay. And then when you get the amount of beads that you want, you would want to tie a knot at the end to keep them from unraveling. I would tie it twice to give it a really good foundation. Make sure that that's going to hold it. Yeah, there we go. So you can kind of see there. Now you could do this on all of the ends. You could just do it on some of them. You could also, if you want to really tighten it down, you could tie another knot on the other end of your beads. See if I can do that without ruining it. Move that down as close as I can get. There we go. That kind of keeps them in place a little bit better. I like that. All right, so you would add as many beads as you want. You could add them to all the strands or just a few. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that to where I like it, and we will check back and finish up. Okay, I am all through. I went all out with my beads, but you could definitely add more or less. I will say the longer strands did work a little better. I wasn't able to do the extra knots on these. And I would recommend if you can do a triple knot, so tie it 3 times instead of 2, it's going to keep the beads on there better. But we have our finished bookmark. So there we go. So thank you guys again for hanging out with us, doing another craft tutorial. Hope you guys like it. And like I said, come pick this up at the main Woodmere branch, and we will see you again for another one. Have a good day.